my name is Ethan Gazecki, and this is my introduction speech about the polar ice caps melting. With the polar ice caps melting, not only has it raised the sea level, making life for people living in coastal cities dangerous, but it has also changed the AMOC and raised global temperatures. The Arctic sea ice is always melting and replenishing itself, but over the past few years it has not been replenishing itself as much as it should be. Here's a video of the Arctic sea ice disappearing over time.
For the development of the older ice, allow the young ice to age and mature. What we've seen instead is the ice is now more broken up, more scattered, and that's allowing the older ice to melt within the Beaufort Sea. So we're seeing the Beaufort Sea go from a nursery to a graveyard for older ice. And as we get towards the more recent years, much of that oldest ice, the ice that's older than 5 years old and the bright white, is almost virtually disappeared from the Arctic Ocean. And the Arctic is now dominated by younger and thinner ice.
As you saw in that video, a lot of the Arctic sea ice has been melting, and with that melting ice releasing fresh water into the ocean, it is rising the sea level. Sea levels have been rising and falling over the past 4.6 billion years, but the recent rate of the sea level has been rising, and it dropped to the average rate over the past 2,000 to 3,000 years, and is rising more and more rapidly. As you can see in this graph, in the start of 1880, it was at negative 50, and with every 20 years, it was gradually rising 20 to 30 millimeters. But at the start of 1960, it started rising 50 to 60 millimeters every 20 years. With the sea levels rising, all the people living in coastal cities are in danger of constant floods if it continues to rise. Signs are showing significantly in southern Louisiana because coasts there are shrinking 3 feet a century. Their shrinking coastline and the rising problem make the problem worse, basically fast forwarding the global sea level rise problem for them. And not only is Louisiana going to be hit hard with this, it's going to impact the whole world. More than 100 million people worldwide live within 3 feet of sea level. And with the sea level rising, it also has threatened a lot of the wildlife. As shown in the Deadly Waters article, the key deer are in a lot of danger because 86% of their islands occupied by the deer are less than 3 feet above sea level. Another species that is in danger is the loggerhead sea turtle because 42% of their nesting beaches are expected to disappear with just 1.5 inches of sea level rise. And with 6 feet of sea level rise, half of the Delmarva Peninsula fox squirrel habitat will be flooded, which is predicted to happen this year. With the polar ice caps melting and causing the global temperatures to rise, it has also caused the rapid decline of the Arctic sea ice. And according to the National Geographic article, in the satellite record that began in 1978, the average ice extent in September had decreased around 13% a decade. With the snow-covered ice, it has a high albedo and reflects 85% of sunlight. And the open water revealed as ice melts, it is darker and absorbs more heat. Heat doesn't only warm the ocean because the heat entering the oceans is literally released back into the ocean, released back into the atmosphere. And as sea ice retreats, sunshine that would have been reflected back into space by the bright ice is instead absorbed by the ocean, which heats up, melting even more ice. With the fresh water melting from the ice, it flows into the ocean and disrupts a huge cycle called the AMOC, also known as the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. The AMOC is just one part of a giant conveyor belt which currently redistributes warmth around the world, so losing the ice could affect regional climates worldwide. It carries a warm surface water north from the tropics, giving Western Europe its mild climate. Changes in the strength of the AMOC can also affect the sea ice, melting by the transporting warmer surface water into the region. In the melting Arctic sea ice and overturned circulation article, scientists are saying that fresh water from the melting ice could become increasingly important with the climate change. And in conclusion, with the polar ice caps melting, it will cause the sea level to rise, causing constant flooding for coastal cities. And with the rising global temperatures melting the ice, it allows fresh water to flow into the ocean, disrupting the huge cycle that we call the AMOC.